Introduction. Welcome to this incredible journey into the life of Siddhartha Gautama, the man who would become Buddha Shakyamuni. His story is one of transformation, deep insight, and spiritual awakening. From the comforts of a royal life to the search for the ultimate truth, Siddhartha's journey has inspired millions across the world for centuries. In this video, you will discover the fascinating history of Buddha Shakyamuni and how his path to enlightenment can inspire us all to seek inner peace and harmony in our daily lives. You won't want to miss the powerful lessons from his life and how they can transform your perspective. Stay until the end for a special insight into the future Buddha, Maitreya. Let's dive deep into the life of this great teacher and uncover the wisdom that continues to guide humanity today. The story of Siddhartha Gautama begins in the kingdom of Kapilavastu, where he was born into a royal family as the son of King Shuddhodana and Queen Maya. His birth was surrounded by auspicious signs, and it was predicted that he would either become a great king or a spiritual leader who would bring salvation to the world. However, little did they know that the young prince's destiny would forever change the spiritual path of humanity. As Siddhartha grew up, his father tried to shield him from the harsh realities of life. The young prince was surrounded by wealth, comfort, and beauty. He lived in splendid palaces, enjoyed the finest luxuries, and was protected from the suffering of the world. His father wanted him to follow the path of a great ruler, so Siddhartha never encountered illness, death, or hardship. But the peace in the palace was only temporary, as fate had a different plan for him. One day, Siddhartha's curiosity led him to leave the palace grounds, where he encountered the four sights: an old man, a sick person, a corpse, and a wandering ascetic. These four encounters shattered his sheltered view of life, and he was struck by the reality of suffering that pervaded the human condition. This realization planted a deep desire in him to find a way to end suffering, not just for himself, but for all beings. Despite his life of privilege, Siddhartha felt an inner restlessness that wealth could not satisfy. He knew that material comforts were temporary and that true happiness could not be found in possessions or power. His heart yearned for a deeper understanding of life and a way to overcome the sorrow he had witnessed. It was then that he made the bold decision to renounce his royal life and embark on a spiritual quest to find the truth. Siddhartha left the palace in the dead of night, leaving behind his wife, Yashodhara, and his newborn son, Rahula. He traded his royal garments for the simple robes of an ascetic and set out into the wilderness. This was the beginning of his journey to find enlightenment. He sought guidance from spiritual teachers, practiced extreme austerities, and meditated for long hours. Yet despite his intense efforts, true wisdom remained elusive. After years of following the path of extreme asceticism, Siddhartha realized that this path of self-denial was not the answer. He was on the brink of death from starvation and exhaustion. At this moment, he understood that neither extreme indulgence nor extreme deprivation would lead to enlightenment. It was here that he developed the concept of the middle way, a balanced path between the extremes of luxury and deprivation, which would become one of the core teachings of Buddhism. Determined to find the truth, Siddhartha sat under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, vowing not to rise until he attained enlightenment. It was during this intense meditation that he faced the final obstacles to his awakening, including the temptations and fears brought by Mara, the embodiment of desire and death. Siddhartha's unwavering commitment and deep insight allowed him to overcome Mara's challenges, and after a long night of meditation, he attained nirvana, the ultimate state of liberation from suffering. At the moment of his enlightenment, Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha, the awakened one. He realized the four noble truths, which are the foundation of Buddhist teaching. Life is filled with suffering, dukkha. The cause of suffering is desire, tanha. There is an end to suffering, nirvana. The path to the end of suffering is the Eightfold Path, a guide to ethical and mindful living. With his newfound wisdom, Buddha knew he had discovered a way to liberate not only himself, but all sentient beings from the cycle of suffering. However, he also knew that this path would not be easy, and not everyone would be ready to understand or follow it. Still, his compassion drove him to share his teachings with the world. He decided to return to society and begin teaching what he had learned. Buddha's first sermon took place in Sarnath, where he delivered the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta to 5 ascetic companions. This marked the turning of the wheel of Dharma and the beginning of Buddhism as a religion. He explained the 4 noble truths and the Eightfold Path, emphasizing that anyone who followed this path could free themselves from suffering and attain enlightenment. The 5 ascetics became his first disciples, forming the foundation of the Sangha, or community of monks. Buddha continued to travel across India, sharing his teachings and gathering followers from all walks of life: kings, merchants, peasants, and ascetics alike. His message was universal, transcending social class, caste, and status. Compassion, mindfulness, and the practice of meditation became central pillars of his teachings. His followers, in turn, spread these teachings far and wide, laying the groundwork for the global Buddhist community. During his lifetime, Buddha emphasized that he was not a god, but a human being who had attained enlightenment through his own efforts. He taught that anyone, regardless of their background, could reach the same state of awakening if they followed the right path. His teachings focused on the power of self-transformation and personal responsibility in the quest for spiritual liberation. One of the most touching aspects of Buddha's teachings is his emphasis on compassion. He often said, "Hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule." This message is as relevant today as it was over 2,500 years ago. Buddha's teachings on love, kindness, and forgiveness continue to inspire people to rise above hatred and cultivate inner peace. As Buddha's following grew, so did the challenges. Some questioned his teachings, and others sought to discredit him. But through all of this, Buddha remained calm, centered, and focused on his mission. His inner peace was unshakable, and his ability to face criticism with love and understanding only further solidified his place as one of the greatest spiritual leaders in history. In the last years of his life, Buddha continued to teach tirelessly. He traveled across India, sharing his wisdom with anyone who sought it. At the age of 80, after a lifetime of service, Buddha passed into parinirvana, the final stage of liberation, free from the cycle of birth and death. His last words to his disciples were a reminder of impermanence. All conditioned things are subject to decay. Strive on with diligence. These words continue to echo in the hearts of Buddhists around the world. Even after his passing, Buddha's teachings lived on through the Sangha. His disciples continued to spread the message of mindfulness, compassion, and the quest for enlightenment. Over the centuries, Buddhism spread from India to other parts of Asia, including China, Japan, Thailand, and beyond, touching the lives of millions of people along the way. As Buddhism grew, different schools and interpretations of Buddha's teachings emerged. Yet at the core of every tradition, the central message remained the same. The path to freedom from suffering lies in our own hands. By following the Eightfold Path and cultivating mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion, we can transform our lives and attain the same state of enlightenment that Buddha himself achieved. Buddha's legacy is not just found in temples, scriptures, or statues. His true legacy lives on in the hearts and minds of those who practice his teachings. Every time we choose kindness over hatred, understanding over judgment, and peace over conflict, we are continuing the work of the Buddha. His message of love and enlightenment is a gift to all humanity, offering us a way to live with greater meaning, purpose, and peace. The story of Siddhartha Gautama is more than just the story of a man who became a great spiritual teacher. It is the story of a transformation from a life of privilege and ignorance to one of wisdom and liberation. His journey shows us that no matter our circumstances, we too can seek and find the truth, and that the path to enlightenment is open to all who are willing to walk it. As we reflect on the life of Buddha Shakyamuni, we are reminded that his teachings are not just ancient wisdom, but a timeless guide for modern life. In a world filled with distractions, desires, and challenges, Buddha's message calls us to look within, to find peace in the present moment, and to live with compassion toward ourselves and others. His life is a testament to the power of personal transformation and the potential within each of us to reach our highest spiritual aspirations. Conclusion. And that concludes our journey into the life of Siddhartha Gautama, a journey from Prince to Buddha, from seeker to the enlightened one. His story reminds us that the path to inner peace and spiritual liberation is not distant or unattainable. It's within each of us. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Let's aim for 5,000 likes, and I'll create a video about the Buddha Maitreya, the future Buddha. Stay tuned for more content on spirituality, mindfulness, and the power of personal transformation.